What's going on, YouTube? I want to do a quick little react to this Dave Ramsey video I was listening to earlier today. Pretty interesting housing market stuff. Dave Ramsey, listen to him a lot. Don't agree with everything he says. Agree with a lot of it. Depends who you are. I think honestly, one way or the other, if you should be like fully buying into this. Personally, I think this is for like lowest common denominator. Not hating on that in any way. Big fan of Dave Ramsey and the Ramsey Show, but while listening to this video earlier, I was like, "Ooh, there's a couple things I'd like to at least discuss, and hopefully you guys get something out of it." But I'll try to go through this pretty quick because only an 8 minute video. I don't want to drag it out into 20 minutes, but let's get into it.
Brought to you by the Every Dollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Hey, Dave, can I ask you a quick real estate question real quick?
You can.
All right, so this might be bad math in my head. So let's say we're in Nashville, Tennessee, where the real estate has gone way up in value over the last 5 to 10 years, right?
Okay.
So let's say
Doesn't need to be in Nashville, Tennessee. It's everywhere, bro. We're getting fucked.
the house I bought back in 2020 is quote unquote worth double.
Mm-hmm.
And I put on the market for double what I paid for it in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say because of the influx in inventory, I have to drop the price a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody comes in and bids $10,000 left. So it's just a little under double. I feel like on social media and whatever, the report is house prices are falling. But the way I look at it is I'm still on house money because it's worth almost double what I paid for it. And just because I take is that a bad way for me to look at the real estate investment?
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying?
No, it is house money, but it's different than that. The reason social media is wrong is for a different reason. Market value of a property, by definition, when I went to real estate, when I got my 4-year degree in real estate.
All right, he's gonna get into this, and I agree with what he's saying here. I think a lot of people, honestly, if you're watching this YouTube channel, you're probably in the same boat. People do. I'm not getting confused. It's just one way or the other. It doesn't matter. It still can bother somebody. Not that they don't understand the concept of what market value is, but when you buy a home these days, yeah, what it's worth to you and what it's worth market value are not going to be the same number. Most likely, the house I bought, the house I'm sitting in right now, isn't worth to me what I paid for it. But in the situation we're in, how home prices are and what we got it for was a good deal at the time. Relative to what everything's going on, I'm sure they're gonna get into it. Market value is what somebody's gonna pay for it. The trend, home prices went up, supply, demand, all that. I only watched into like a minute 30 and I was like, oh, I gotta break this. I gotta watch this on the channel. So if that's what he's gonna get into and I just repeated half of it, apologize, but it's not a super complex concept to understand, but that doesn't mean people still don't disagree with market value in the sense of like, hey, it's not worth the median home should not be $400,000. It just shouldn't.
I have a degree in real estate and finance. If you go to appraisal class and you go to take your real estate test, they teach you this. The definition of market value of a piece of real estate is what a willing buyer is able to give a willing seller and willing when
Yeah,
neither
that's
are
exactly what
under
I'm talking about.
duress. Okay? So, in other words, if you're getting foreclosed on, that's not a valid say. You can't use that sale when you're doing an appraisal.
Right.
Because it does not establish market value because one of the parties is under duress. Okay? If you've had a house if you bought another house and you're having to sell your house out of desperation because you shouldn't have bought the other house and now you got 2 house payments, one of the parties is under duress.
Okay, actually, I watched further and I thought this is right about where I got to. So, this is the thing where I was like, okay, I understand what he's saying. I'm sure if you're watching this, you understand as well. But the problem with this is foreclosure. I'm not a real estate guru. I pay attention to real estate in the periphery as it oversees like my finances and generally what's going on in the housing market just because I'm interested in it. Foreclosures, yes. If you look at homes, you can see that there was a foreclosure. You can tell that the home was sold through foreclosure. Easy, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, one of the sellers is under duress. That's great, whatever. Now, what he's saying on the next one, that the deal was done in the sense of they bought a different home. They are reliant on their home to sell to purchase the other home. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you're a realtor, if you're way deep in this real estate stuff more than I am, correct me if I'm wrong. I'll gladly admit it. I'll pin a comment to the top saying Ruben's a dumbass. He didn't know. But there's no way for them to know that when they're getting comps to say like what the house is worth. In a funny turn of events, like sidebar here, The home I bought, we got it appraised. They went and looked at comps. The comps around the area were shit, in my opinion. Like they were about the same price, but the houses were shit compared to the home I live in now. But it just so happened they appraised my house for exactly what I bought it for. So I bought it for 210. It appraised for exactly 210. Now, I don't really believe that that's all that accurate. I think they just didn't have any comps, and they go, it seems worth it. General like knowledge and expertise from whoever's appraising the home could probably just say, yeah, it's worth what we'll give them the loan for, whatever. I don't know for a fact, but that's whatever. But there's so many circumstances of people selling homes that they're under duress, but like just because you have a certain motivation to sell the home, duress, like financial stress in the sense of like, I need to sell this home. I can't afford the home. I'm going to get foreclosed on all these things. That makes perfect sense. But the market in total is made up by people selling their homes with some sort of motivation, and where it varies on the scale of how under duress they are is what's making up the market that we're going to talk about, that he's talking about right here, that sets the home price market value. So it doesn't matter if you're under duress in certain situations, it still shows the home sale price, the average in the area, going down, going down, going down, or holding, or going up, going up, going up. Has no bearing on anything else. So, like I said, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm missing something here, but unless you know the seller personally and you talk to the people somehow, you went and talked to every real estate agent that sold every house and said, "Give me the lowdown on the whole situation." There's no way to know these things. It's just not possible.
Okay.
So they might sell it, quote unquote, below market value,
Yes.
just to get rid of it.
Yes. Because, but it does not establish market value. So when someone says house prices are going down, they mean market values are going down. Market values have not gone down, but there are
He's
some
correct about
parties,
this, but I'm
because
going to
the
talk about it
market
later,
has been sluggish, that are under duress
depending on what you're talking
Right.
about.
and are
Because
selling.
they may have leveraged a bunch
They're
of
what you
properties.
call a motivated seller for one
Okay.
reason or another.
Everybody's
And
motivated for
house has been sitting on
one
the
reason or
market,
another. That's kind of what I was getting
and
at.
they lower the price below what the appraisal would be, what a willing buyer, but they're no longer without duress. They have duress, meaning there's a stress. They're in a stress situation.
Okay.
And so that doesn't establish market value. That doesn't establish what home prices are doing. Now, but
Basically, if I was going to boil it down, I guess he's just talking about like a perfect market making environment where it's like somehow you know all the variables, just not possible in real life. So obviously, reality is not this cut and clean. Generally, it holds, but it's not reality. It's kind of what I'm getting at.
but if you're in uh, a seller's market, then the buyers are under duress because they can't. That's when you get 83 offers on the house. If you're in a buyer's market, which we haven't seen in a long time because inventories have never kept up with demand, but if you're in a buyer's market, that means there's houses everywhere, and the buyers could come in and cherry pick what they want, and they can demand stuff from sellers because the sellers are under more stress, and that drives prices down. But we haven't seen that in
Guess you guys don't
decades.
need to see my recommended videos, huh?
But even if market value went down 20%, I'm still up.
You're
in
still
my
on house market,
investment.
but house prices would have gone down if that was the case.
Correct. There you go.
How nice
So
would it be to
social
be in
media
that
would be
in
correct.
that
Social
in
media
those
is
shoes?
comical.
Just bought a house, it just
Correct.
went
It's
up. You
not
didn't do
focused on
anything.
anything except, some 20-something-year-old living
Missed
in
the
his
boat by
mother's
5
basement
years. Damn it.
having a little snowflake attack.
Correct.
And that's your social media. That's not got anything to do with the actual reality of what's happening in the market. That's just somebody pissed off because they feel like they got boxed out of the market because they're a barista after getting a PhD.
Or they're pissed off because they did some napkin math and looked at the internet.
I think
website
Dave
and
has
said,
something
"My
out
house is
for the
worth
fucking Starbucks people of the
$1.2
world.
million." They get an offer for 700.
Must have fucked his coffee up one too many times.
$500,000 when they may have
If it
bought
was
the
not
house.
if it was not worth 1.2,
That's exactly right.
yeah, it was never worth that. And so, is there actual market value? So,
Him saying it was never worth that is exactly what I'm talking about, in the sense of, yes, the market, but also we're hitting a time right now where home sales are like at least plateauing, if not going down by quite a bit. People are collectively deciding, the market, in a sense, is collectively deciding these homes aren't worth what people are asking for them. Therefore, price go down. Is that guaranteed? No. Can we predict it perfectly? No. It's not possible. You can just watch the trend, and that's all you can do. And I mean, if you're a real estate investor, it's one thing. If you're just trying to get into a home, I think his advice even is good advice, in the sense of, if you can afford it, just do it. It's fine. Trying to time it is tough to near on impossible. So at your own peril, try to time it. just be ready and hope for a good opportunity, I guess, is all you can really do. So
If you're going to do an appraisal on a piece of residential real estate, you find 3 comparable sales within the last 90 days, comparable in area, comparable in attributes, and comparable in square footage, and you adjust for square footage. If one's a 5 bedroom, one's a 4 bedroom, one's got 6 baths, one's got 4 baths, one's got a 5 car garage, one's got a 3 car garage. You adjust for the differences, and you do that, and then you take the average of those 3 after adjustments, and you have a residential appraisal. But the qualification is all 3 of those comparable sales cannot have had a buyer or a seller under duress.
in my mind,
So you
that's not
can't use
possible.
2
So
foreclosures in
I
the
don't know how you
listing
do that.
Got it.
Obviously, the foreclosure
your
one's
comp.
different, but
as your comparable sale.
I don't know.
Otherwise,
You
have
tell
an
me.
invalid appraisal.
Love
What
to
did
hear
you do
it.
in 2008 when whole neighborhoods were getting wiped out?
Well, then you've got a new market. The market established that this neighborhood is foreclosure neighborhood,
Okay.
so it drove it down
Fair enough.
because
Adds
everything
up.
in there was. So if you had like those townhouses and stuff where they, where these bogus investment deals, that's what happened in 2008, and the mortgage bank securities, all that crap crashed, and so they started punting on these loans left and right, and so they end up with whole neighborhoods back. Now you got a complete reset on that neighborhood, but that's not a statement of real estate. That's a statement of that neighborhood. That neighborhood was full of investment real estate, 100% renters, and 100% of the investors, in air quotes,
Were leveraged.
walked away.
Right.
And so now you got to reset.
Okay.
And now we've got, okay, what will people pay in that neighborhood that where neither are under duress? And that takes about a generation to get through that. Not a generation of people, but a generation of sales. Because the bank.
All right, I think we get the idea. If you want to watch the rest of the video, I'll throw it in the description down there. Click on it and watch the last minute and a half. But that's basically what I'm talking about. So the market thing is also a weird subject because yes, the market, but also the market is defined, like you define the market before you even have the conversation. So you want to talk the whole United States as the market, you want to talk the state, you want to talk Ohio, you want to talk California, you want to talk Florida, New York, you want to talk the county you're in, you want to talk your market where you buy homes, where you buy rental properties, where you do something, like where you operate in a region. Like for me, it's like central Ohio. People talk about northeast Ohio. So like parts of a state or something like that. Like the market is a term that people use all the time willy nilly. That's fine. But in a conversation, you want to get deeper into it, you got to talk about regional markets. I was just pulling this up because I get what he's saying. Like median home price, we're watching it right here. This is very important though. The data lags behind a few months. So we're here in August. This data is probably 2 or 3 months out of date at this point. The important thing is the trend, not the data point at the end. The trend of steep, plateau, fall down, run back up, steep, plateau, fall back down, question mark. We don't know. There's no way to know. But this looks awfully similar. The only problem is the median home price and CPI adjusted price have just converged up here at this point. And median home price obviously has went from 213 to doubled in less than 20 years. I mean, absolutely insane. I'm trying to see. Let's see if they have more data there. I mean, what were we looking at? CPI obviously is basically showing though that it held steady all the way into like the 90s, basically little to no change with little peaks and valleys, and then we're just on the absolute tear. Like if my stock portfolio looked like this, I'd be feeling awesome. But like I said, there's no way to know what's coming on this end of this graph. But to me, if you look at that, that's looking at plateau. We might just plateau and hold for the next 4 or 5 years, and then hopefully your wages keep up with it, and then you can save some money in that period while the home prices stay the same, which they won't because they're going to inflate the currency. We got to wait for Fed stuff. We'll see if they start cutting rates again. Who knows? Home prices could just blow up again, and if they do, I don't know where we go. I don't think there's much headroom from here. We're at 400,000. 410,000. Where are we going to go? 600,000. People just don't make enough money. You just won't ever be able to buy a house. That's the deal. If you didn't buy one before that, just get fucked and rent for the rest of your life. So I don't know if that's the case. I don't think that'll be the case. I think we're going to see a at least small dip over the next 5 to 10 years, depending on what happens. There's so much that goes into this that obviously could be completely wrong. Let me know what you think. I'd like to hear in the comments. But this gives me hope in the sense of blue is negative year over year home value growth. So these home prices are going down in the blue. So just check. This is by county by county. I'm here in Ohio. Uh, Basically, not to shit on anybody in these counties, but in general, I think it's considered like this area. It's not that I live in Richland County up here in, like I said, northeast Ohio, kind of northeast. Um, but this general part of Ohio, the southeast side of Ohio, all these counties are generally like poorer counties. Like there's just not much going on economically down there. It's older. It's all along the river down there. It's old Rust Belt towns that have obviously fallen by the wayside in a lot of ways. Columbus, the biggest city in Ohio, is growing very. It's barely growing 1.2 as far as pricing. Columbus though is booming in population as far as people coming to the city, but the home prices aren't going up. But they're developing the absolute shit out of every single one of these counties. That's what I used to do for my job. So subdivisions going absolutely buck wild in here. And overall though, the Northeast and Midwest all looking pretty good. There's some blue, but the South is just getting hammered. Like this has to be a side effect of COVID in my mind. That's all I can think of when I see these giant swaths. I mean, all the people from California. I mean, Cali's still looking a little rough. I didn't know California's counties are drawn like fucking. Who drew these counties, dude? What the shit? Must be because nobody lives out here in Nevada, but something weird. There's a nice couple counties. That's what we're talking about. But we got people all along the south of the whole United States basically moving back to the Midwest and Northeast just because after post COVID, they wanted to get the telework, they wanted to get out, and maybe that's what's causing it. But hey, I mean, if you're in one of these markets, things are looking up. -5%, that's big, especially when your home's 400 grand. I mean, what, $20,000, $20,000 a year over year, it's going down 20 grand. Hey, that's a win, I think. There's the trend, simplified even more. Florida's taking a hit. I'm assuming that's mostly almost all due to COVID, but let me know what you guys think. Hope you guys got something out of the video. I thought it was interesting. Don't take it wrong. I like Dave. I think for the most part he's giving good advice, but some things I just I don't know. I disagree. Or there's a bigger picture. Some of this stuff's really complex, and I could be wrong too. For all who the fuck knows anymore. So I don't know. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. If you like the video, leave a like on it, comment. I'd appreciate it. Hear what you say. Hear what you got to say, and dislike it if you didn't like it. Tell me why in the comments. I'll catch you tomorrow.